What's up guys, Surf here, back with another Destiny 2 video, back with another Arc 3.0 build. The last one I did was on the Warlock, you can check it out on my channel. This one is going to be for all the Titan mains out there. It is going to be using Monte Carlo and Insurmountable Skull Fort, which is going to help us gain our melee abilities back as fast as possible. Dim link should be in the description or the comment section down below. If you like the video, leave a like and let's get started. First, we're going to start off with the super I choose to use. I choose to use Thunder Crash because it is a very quick super and it does a lot of damage to bosses. But if you want to run Fists of Havoc for more of an ad clear build and you can kind of roam around and destroy everything in your path, that is also a very good pick. Either one, up to you. Then we're going to moving on to the abilities. First ability I chose to use was the Thruster ability, more so because I wanted to kind of mess around with it. I will say it is a little bit lackluster because I feel like you don't really move that much. The only other pick I would say would be maybe Towering Barricade to protect yourself because healing here is non-existent. For the movement ability, I chose to use Strafe Lift because that's the one I prefer to use. I think it's the best one to use. And then on to the melee. This one is very, very important. You definitely have a couple options here. Thunderclap pretty much is going to be one that you have to stand in one spot and charge your fist, and then you'll release it and it'll do a devastating blast. I did wish it did a little bit more damage, but as of right now, it's still pretty fun to use. You can also do Ballistic Slam, which is one that we've had in the past. After you sprint, you jump in the air, and then you go straight down. It's almost like a little mini Thunder Crash. That one might be best for killing multiple enemies at a time. And then the only other one would be Seismic Strike, which again, you're going to have to be sprinting to keep it going. You can blind people, and once you're amplified, your blind radius is increased. But to use the melee, you have to sprint every single time. Melee, it's all up to you and how you want to play. I chose to use the Thunderclap, but Ballistic Slam is a very, very good choice as well. And then on to the Arc Grenade. This is going to be something that you should run. I would highly recommend running Storm Grenade. Pretty much it's a grenade, you throw it down, and lightning strikes the spot. But with one of the aspects, it's going to get a little crazy, and we're going to go on to the aspects right now. The first one we're going to choose is going to be the title of this, Juggernaut. With full class ability energy, after sprinting for a short time, you gain a frontal shield that blocks incoming damage. When the frontal shield breaks, your class ability energy is depleted. While amplified, the shield blocks significantly more damage before breaking. This kind of helps you stay a little bit alive. Since you will be sprinting, using the sprinting melees are also not a bad idea. Second aspect is going to be Touch of Thunder, which pretty much makes your grenades have enhanced functionality. The one we're going to be using here is going to be the Storm Grenade. So after detonating, it creates a roaming thundercloud that tracks nearby targets and fires bolts of lightning at them. So this little cool cloud is going to follow your enemies and do damage over time, which is very, very sweet. And then we're going to move on to the Fragments. First fragment we're going to use is going to be Spark of Beacons. While you're amplified, your Arc special weapon Final Blows create a blinding explosion, which, spoiler alert, onto the weapons, we will be using a grenade launcher in that slot. Then next we have Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. You're going to be surrounded by combatants a lot because you're going to be using a lot of melee builds. That's the whole point of this. And then you're also going to get plus 10 strength to get your melee ability up even faster. Third one's going to be Spark of Recharge. While critically wounded, your melee and grenade energy regenerates more quickly. So whenever you get injured, you can kind of just stay low for a little bit and then wait for your melee and grenade energy to go up. And then that way you can jump right in with more damage. Again, just a reminder, the dim link will be down in the description. Should be pinned to a comment as well. And if you like the video, then like the video. It'll help me out a ton. Now, onto the stats. The stats I'm always going to recommend for right now is always going to be Discipline first. Get 100 Discipline so you can get that 40% damage reduction. From there, you can go to Strength. I didn't fully really want to max out Strength because we have our 2 exotics that are going to help us get our Strength back. And then I ended up going half Discipline as well so I can get my grenades back as fast as possible. And then onto the armor, we're going to start with the helmet. This one's going to be the exotic slot. I chose to use an Insurmountable Skull Fort. Pretty much what that does is kills with arc melee abilities, trigger health regeneration, and restore melee energy. So this way, you will be able to heal as much as possible. And the armor mods I chose to use were going to be plus 10 resilience And then I also used a hands-on mod, which gained bonus super energy on melee kills, which we will be meleeing all the time. And then the last one I chose was Well of Ions. Picking up an elemental well causes your next melee to have increased damage, which of course we're going to be getting elemental wells all the time. And with increased damage with your melee, then you'll be able to do more damage to bigger enemies, maybe like champions or bosses. And then from there, we're going to move on to the arm mods. I chose to use a +10 discipline mod. Then I chose to use the seasonal mod anti-barrier auto rifle because we will be using an auto rifle in the first slot. And then from there I put on impact induction. Causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. And then from there I did elemental charge. Become charged with light by picking up an elemental well. And if the elemental well's element type matches your subclass element, you will gain 2 stacks of charge with light. Then moving on to the chest armor, I chose not to use any extra mod that'll get me any stats. But I did use Thermoshock Plating, which is a new seasonal mod. It reduces the incoming solar and arc damage from combatants. And then from there, I did the melee damage resistance because we're going to be up close and personal, so we can get some reduced damage there from our melees. And then the last one I chose to use was going to be heavy-handed. While charged with light, regain half of your melee energy when you use a charged melee ability, and then it consumes 1 stack of charge with light. So this way you're going to be able to juggle your melee ability with another melee ability, because we're going to be charged with light a lot, we're going to be using melee abilities a lot, we're going to be killing with melees a lot, so there's a lot of synergy in this build. And then from there I'm going to move on to the leg armor. I chose to use a +10 resilience mod, and then I went to Invigoration, which reduces melee cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power, and then also Absolution, which reduces all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb of power. And then of course I like to run Seeking Wells, that way I don't really have to run towards the wells can just come towards me. And it also buffs my teammates to have the same effect. Going on to the Titan mark, I used a +10 discipline mod. I used the Outreach mod, which reduces melee cooldown when using your class ability. I used 1-2 finisher, which basically means finishers are going to restore melee abilities, and it requires 1/6 of your super energy. Hopefully you're getting your super energy back fast enough because we did Thunder Crash. And then last is going to be Melee Wellmaker. Powered melee combatant final blows spawn elemental wells, matching your subclass energy type, which again, we're going to be using melee all the time. The only other thing I would recommend from this is going to be the Amped Up class item mod for the season. What Amped Up does is it makes you stay amplified for longer, so you're going to be able to have those buffs, and you're going to be able to debuff enemies longer as well. But until then, we're going to run with what we have. Lastly, I'm going to run over the weapons real fast. In the kinetic slot, I chose to use the Monte Carlo, which is going to be the exotic we're going to be using for this. It is an auto rifle that will help out when we use the barrier mod in harder content. And then the trait for this would be Monte Carlo Method. Dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. So another way that we can get our melee abilities back as fast as possible. And then for the secondary, I chose to use Salvager Salvo. The role I'm using on this is going to be Demolitionist Chain Reaction, so it can kill as many enemies in the vicinity as possible. It is an arc grenade launcher as well, so we can blind enemies with it too. And then last, for the heavy grenade launcher slot, I use Tarnation. I'm using a Pulse Modern Wellspring roll that is very awful, but the gun itself is actually pretty decent. I'm just trying to level mine up so that way I can put whatever crafted perks I want on it. So again, this whole build is all about melees and how fast you can get your melees and how fast you can kill people with melees and melees. So that's pretty much it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more content. We got a bunch more Destiny guides coming for you soon, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.